Good morning. This is Market Coffee Talk. I'm Louis Yanis. I have my coffee here. Hope you have one too. If you notice that I'm a lot more tan than normal, it's because we're in Palm Springs and I've been getting a lot of sun. So, yeah, I'm almost to the point where I look orange. um, have you ever had, or if you're a parent, you might understand this, but have you ever noticed that if a parent gives a child a lot of leeway on getting something done, let's say it's their homework, and their homework is due on Friday, and a parent or a teacher says, "You know what? Don't do it on Friday. You can do it next Monday." So what does that child do? That child slacks off, plays video games, does something else, and then what do they do at the very last minute? They cram and try to get that homework done at the end. And if a parent or a teacher does that over and over and over again, they get conditioned to it. It's like, "Oh, don't worry about it. I don't have to do it. I'll just do it later." That's what's happening to us today. So I was just looking at a piece of financial information. The IRS has a delayed deadline, right, for filing and paying taxes. So less than a month ahead of the traditional date, the IRS delayed the deadline for filing and paying taxes. The new deadline is May 17th, 2021. So they've extended it further, and there's been extension after extension. The delay follows a disruption from the COVID-19 pandemic and a late start to the tax file season, with the IRS delaying to start on February 12th. It also follows the agency's decision to postpone the deadline to June 15th for the state of Texas, who is still recovering from the disastrous winter storm. I totally get that. But what's happening is a trend of coddling America. America was founded on people who were strong, people who pulled themselves up by their bootstraps and who adapted, who created strong entrepreneurial companies that created a lot of wealth and prosperity and happiness. And what's happening now is we're turning into that parent that is just saying, "Oh, you don't have to do your homework yet." So is a parent your friend or is a parent your advocate if they just give you slack all the time? We've had PPP loans. And yes, some of this stuff has been needed, but it's getting to the point now where it's really the government trying to be your friend to win you over. And I think people are starting to figure that out. We just had another $1.9 trillion added to our deficit spending. We have this massive parabolic rise in what the government is doing to coddle us. We don't need any more stimulation by the government. What we need is a stimulation by the American people to get back to work, to be productive, and to stop being succumbed to the pandemic. It's really time. Now, some people are going to disagree with me. I think a lot of people would disagree with me. But when I look at the facts, we have been coddled over and over and over again. The villain, we are the heroes as American people. The villain is, I'd hate to say this, but the government that is giving us too much coddling, like that parent. So what we really need, I'll tell you what we really need right now. We need to each individual needs to assess their situation right now. They need to take personal responsibility for what's happening. They need to take action and they need to get back on track to being normal again. Because otherwise what's going to happen is we're going to have high unemployment, we're going to have higher taxes, lower productivity long term, and we're going to have less prosperity. Instead, if we just do what we always have done as the heroes in our personal story in America, begin to be vibrant again, get back to work, do what we do best, innovate, create new things, and become who we really are. I feel like Americans have lost who they really are. And a lot of it is because we are being overly coddled. Sometimes you just have to tell that teenager, you need to fix your bed. Sometimes you just need to say, hey, you know what? Your homework is due on Friday. I know you've been having a tough time. Figure it out. That's where we are right now because most people you talk to, some are struggling, and yes, there should be exceptions, but most people out there are able to take an extra effort and get things done on time and to actually be back to work like they should be. Let's stop coddling America. I'm telling this to the government. Stop coddling. We're the heroes here, not the government. So I know this might sound a little political to you, but it's time for us to get back to work. Time for us to be productive because we take personal responsibility for our own actions and we're going to have a much, much better economy. We can win. We can have strong productivity and growth again if we just stop letting ourselves being coddled. Now, do you think the government is coddling us? Comment if you think so. So let's talk about another thing that we can do right now. Another thing we can do right now is we could look at our situation and assess it objectively and saying, what should I be doing now that's going to help others? Because I was actually in a meeting and we were talking about various ways of thinking. And one of the things that can happen is we can get inside ourselves, like, oh, woe is me. What's happening with me? That's not good. But there's a miraculous thing that happens when we start thinking about what our unique talents are and what we can do to help others. And when we focus outside of ourselves and take our ego out of it and start helping others, then this miraculous thing happens where we get benefit from it too. It's almost like the universe was designed that way. Like that's what we're supposed to be doing. So we don't need any more coddling. We need a little more assessing of our situation and getting off our tuchus. And this doesn't apply to everybody, but what I'm saying is that what's happening with the government, with all these continuing additional coddling, is creating a culture of unproductivity. That culture of unproductivity is hard to break. So once a teenager is gotten used to where they don't have to do their homework on time, or they don't have to pick up their room, or they don't have to take the trash out, it's going to be hard to get them to get back to taking the trash out again. And that's where we are right now today. So that's my message. I think this tax extension is not necessary. As it stands right now, many people, if not most people, have the ability to do things as they normally were done. And the vaccines miraculously are actually starting to be rolled out much faster. It's amazing. So what constraint was there before? That's what I'd like to know. Could that have been some other self-imposed constraint? I don't know. All I know is I did get scheduled to have my vaccine next week. And 3 weeks ago, it was like way, way far out. So that's a good thing. So as people get vaccine, we get back to work. We need to stop coddling Americans because we're the heroes in this story. We're the ones who create the prosperity and the happiness, not the US government. Anyway, that's all for now. I hope you guys have a great day and we'll talk to you later.